Yo, Lee. I think we got another one.
Come on.
Sing it.
Thought you should know that I will never ever go away.
So you'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
You'll never have to worry.
Though it may seem today that I'm so far away from you. You never have to fall, 'cause I'm right here before you call my name. And I'll come running to heal you, feel you, take you by the hand. And I'll show you the way to where I am. All you should know that I will never ever go away.
You'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
Never have to worry.
Forget your yesterday, for when this night to brand new day gives way. Your life, your breath renewed, a ray of sun reminds you it's okay. You'll never be alone if you feel me, hear me, take me into your heart, and we'll never ever have to part. Thought you should know that I would never ever go away.
Never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
Never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry. You will never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry about a thing.
Thought you should know that I would never ever go.
So you'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky. Oh yeah, don't worry. Said I never seen the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging bread.
So you'll never have to worry.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. Whatever you need, your Father knows. Oh, come on, let me say.
Oh, you'll never. Don't you know you never have to worry? I will always be there. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Said you will never have to worry. You will never have to worry. Oh, yes.
Just between you and me, this is nice. There's no tricks. Ooh, this love is just between you and me, this is nothing. Ooh, there's no tricks. This love is just what do I have to do to let you know? Should I make your flowers grow? Should I make it rain or snow? Yeah. So many things I've done just for you. Forest green and ocean blue, just to show my love is true. Just between you and me, this is nice. There's no trace. This love is so real, just between.
There you go.
Hey,
Music's still playing.
you see that, Jeremiah?
All right, Jeremiah saw it that time. Right, Jeremiah? What's up, Times?
Hey, guys.
So, real quick, I just need to say shout out to my lady because we got our booster shots yesterday, and my woman is playing hurt right now.
Y'all see I'm not getting down like
She
I used to. I
she
usually
is
be
literally
getting it.
struggling. You know what I'm saying?
I tried not to look it, but my eyes keep falling.
They hot,
I try
aren't
to
they?
open them up, but they keep
So,
falling down.
so tell us what your symptoms are right now, my beautiful, lovely, flu-like symptoms having booster shot.
Listen, chills,
Chills.
body ache, serious
aches.
body ache. Like old person body ache.
This is like the Jordan flu game, is what you're saying.
This is the Jordan flu game.
Yeah, except it's
Yes.
not food poisoning. You actually have,
Exactly.
flu-like symptoms for real.
My ears hurt, my throat hurts, headache that will not go away. I took 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol.
It did nothing. It did not move the needle.
So I was great this morning. Y'all went to work. I was all happy, teaching, all hype.
So
And then all of a sudden it just hit me. I'm like, what?
I actually thought we
How
might
is
have
this
some problems
possible?
today, so we were thinking about taking the day off, and then we woke up this morning
I don't
feeling
like
great.
I don't like taking off.
Right. Of course
I
not.
really don't.
Right. So I brought you home. You came home. You napped for like 3 hours
Yo, I slept
solid.
like a newborn.
You slept like a rock.
Okay.
Like you didn't even budge. And all kind of stuff was happening.
I know.
You didn't
I didn't
know.
even know. That's some good old sleep though.
Yeah, man.
And I'm ready to go to sleep like that again right at this moment.
Are you?
Yes.
You don't look like it.
But the show wakes me up a little bit.
That's good.
And I'm excited about our guests, so
So let's just take a couple of comments real quick because Primo
what is
says
Primo talking about?
apparently you owe him $500. I don't know what for. What exactly is he
You
talking
are
about?
always
You don't put your business out there, but you owe him $500. For what? What is he talking about?
I don't know. He's always picking on me.
Raul's
man.
on here from Trinidad. What's
What
up,
up,
Raul?
Raul?
Glad
What
you
up,
are here from
Michael?
across the way. Mike, you are hilarious. Where did you get this stuff from? What do you mean? Where do I get what
He's
stuff
probably
from?
talking to Primo.
Maybe. Because clearly you are actually sick. He said, Michael, she owes me.
What do
Owes
I-
you for what? What are you talking
We've never
about?
had a conversation about this. So what are you talking about? Anyway,
He's just making stuff up now.
he's always picking on me, so we just
It's
gonna
hilarious.
ignore Primo.
Exactly. Okay, guys. So we have a wonderful guest tonight. We're excited about the topic. Before we get into it, though, I want to remind you about something that we have. This is something that we had a while ago, actually.
Yeah.
That we want to sort of make sure you understand is going on.
Yes.
It is our free intimacy assessment that you can take. So what's so good about this is you can go on to yourtotalintimacy.com and you can take this intimacy assessment. You take one, your spouse takes one, and you each get a score and you compare them.
Exactly.
And the score will kind of tell you, how each of you thinks of your level of intimacy.
as far as total intimacy.
Correct.
Okay, because intimacy is not just in the bedroom, and that's what we try to emphasize. There's a total intimacy
Correct.
within the relationship.
Yes.
And you need to find out what's happening in all the areas.
Yes. Exactly.
So this is a great.
Just want to remind you of it. It's free.
Quiz.
Completely free.
So
Yourtotalintimacy.com.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, we'll put this in the chat. We have a couple other things to put in the chat today as well. So this is just one of them. So make it easy for you. Actually, you need to put it in the YouTube chat too for the YouTubers who are online with us right now.
Okay.
Anyway,
I'll do that.
that's what we're doing tonight. So I want to remind you of that, and we're glad that you are here. So why don't we get into our topic for tonight? So it turns
Yes.
out.
I'm sorry, I have
Go
to
ahead,
cut you off.
baby.
Before we do that,
Please.
I don't know if you said this because my brain is literally like,
Hey.
I don't even know what you just said.
It doesn't even matter, girl. Listen, when we do this show, you're not listening anyway, and neither am I. We're normally working.
not listening
No,
either.
people don't realize it. We're sitting here
I
producing a
know,
show
I
as it happens. So
know.
the only time for me to do stuff is while April's talking.
Look, we need to get
So I'm not
Shell
really
to be-
listening while she's
Shell needs
talking.
to be producing this.
You're right.
But
We ain't got no money
yeah,
for that.
so guys, I was just about to say, but we broke.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right, guys, share this right now. Did you say
Share.
that already?
Right now, I did not say it.
Okay, go
No,
ahead and
I
share
have it
this
in here to
because
say it, but I didn't say
this
it yet.
is going to be a really good conversation.
We're gonna
I think it's
remind you
going to
again later
bless-
anyway.
It is going to bless so many people.
No question.
So go ahead and share it now,
Yes.
and let's get started.
All right, so we have a guest tonight. Her name is Natalie Fuel. She wrote a book, and her book is entitled "Divorce Looks Good on You."
Yes.
Now I know that that's something that's gonna grab your attention because that's like a real title there. But the subtitle is what helps: A Girlfriend's Guide to Moving Towards Greatness After Divorce. Now,
Yes.
part of the reason why we're bringing this up, obviously, we're a relationship show. We're not trying to get you to get a divorce. That's not the point of our show, but we do believe that there's something out there where people, some of you are in our audience who are divorced. And
Right.
maybe someone is teaching you that your life ends after divorce. And we don't believe that that's
Yes.
true.
Yes.
And so we want to kind of bring some awareness to that right now. So we're going to bring on Natalie right now. Natalie, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Yes, welcome.
And we are glad that you came. How have you been? Oh,
I'm
sorry.
good. I'm good.
It's good to see you. Yeah.
Yes.
See you too.
No problem at all. We're glad to have you. And we're glad you wrote this book because April and I have long been saying that there are institutions like our church and other people who think about this subject who oftentimes paint it as if it's the end of your life.
Right.
And maybe there are some correlations because we have heard, which we'll ask you about, we have heard that going through the divorce is like, going through death, or something. But we don't want to ask you about that yet.
Yes.
We want to get to that at some point.
You jump into the
I
questions.
don't want to jump for real, but just a little teaser. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So Natalie, what our audience probably doesn't know is that you are a psychologist. You do therapy, correct?
So let me correct you so
Okay.
the people who know won't get me in trouble. No, I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor supervisor. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist as some people, but yeah, I'm a licensed therapist.
Oh, okay.
And that is very needed at this time. So needed.
Yes.
Oh, there's an echo.
That's what he said. Said there's an
Okay.
echo. I don't know why. Jeremiah, tell me if the echo is still there. Is the echo only there when Natalie is talking, or is it there when we're talking
Do you
too?
have your things? Because we might need to switch.
We might need to switch. I hope
Yeah.
we don't. That's
It
one
is
thing I
just
didn't think
me,
about.
or is there an echo?
Yeah,
oh,
everybody's
Keisha's
saying that.
Man, we tried
Okay.
something new tonight, y'all.
Yeah, we did. So
Where's your stuff, babe?
it's in the other room.
You wanna,
So-
can you grab it?
Well, what we could do is just this and see what happens now. Natalie?
Yes.
Okay, see, we hear her.
Okay.
I don't know. It's only when Natalie's talking they say that there's an
Oh.
echo. Let me use
Oh, he said
echo.
yes, it's from her. So.
Let me just.
All right. How's that?
And maybe that's
Is it
all
an
we
echo
need.
now?
Let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay.
Okay, guys, go ahead and let us know if she's still.
I put echo cancellation on just
Okay,
to see.
Natalie, go ahead and
maybe,
talk.
Go ahead and talk and see what happens.
Is there an
Okay.
echo in the house? Is
Uh,
it better? Is it better?
Is it better, guys?
okay.
He said
Anyway,
we can work with it.
we
can
can
work
work
with
with
it?
it,
Okay.
but
He
it's
said
likely
that's
we need
better.
to hear it
Echo
twice.
is
It says,
gone.
okay,
Okay,
echo's gone. All
perfect,
right, good.
perfect.
So I think it was just us putting on echo cancellation, and now it's fine.
Wonderful.
They're saying they don't hear it anymore.
People are
Everybody's giving
Well,
a
coming
that
thumbs
in.
up.
means that
Yes.
Thank you
your
guys for
audience
being here.
needs
Everybody's here now.
Your audience need to donate to the production fund
Yeah.
for the show. That's it. You know.
I should try going like this.
Yeah, try it again and
just
see if it'll
what
work.
happens. Hopefully the echo's not there still. Anyway, we'll find out. Go ahead, Natalie.
Okay. So yeah, donate to the production fund. Issues.
Okay, so what were you saying, April? Were you the one mentioning something?
Well,
You were
I
saying
was
to
just going to
share.
say, yes, a lot of people just came on just now. So go ahead and share, guys, because
Yes.
we feel like this is going to be a really good conversation that will, I think, will help. Oh, they said, nope, it's back. So it is us, babe. So you got to take that out.
All right. So let's just try
All
that
right.
now. Okay.
There we go. Just turn your thing up.
Yes, I
Okay.
got it as loud as it goes.
All right. So I just want to, let's just get right into it
Mm-hmm.
because, some people feel like, when you divorce, well, let me say this. When you first started off, you
Hold
got
on,
married.
hold on.
Yes.
So that was the other thing I was going to say.
Okay.
So we said that Natalie is in therapy, right?
Yes.
But we did not say that Natalie herself is a divorcee. Now
That's
that may be obvious.
Yeah.
And I don't know. People might not know that.
Right.
We need to probably tell everybody that. So you have been through a divorce, and so you're giving therapy to people maybe that are in this circumstance, but you're also a person who has gone through it yourself. So you're not,
Right.
just blowing smoke. You've gone through
Right.
this. So anyway, April, now say what you're gonna say.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you said that. So, you get married. You go into it. You're happy. Everything's going well. What is it that takes place that begins to let you know, like, uh-oh, something's not right?
When did you first know? Maybe something's happening here.
Right.
Well, to be honest, let's go back. There were red flags during our
Mm,
dating,
okay.
and there were obvious red flags. But in my mind, and I think in a lot of other people, maybe females' minds, that, but once I become the girlfriend, things will go away. Okay, so then I become the girlfriend, and the red flags are still there. Okay, no big deal. But once I become the fiance, then things are going to get better. And then it still didn't. But it's never going to be all at once. It's never going to be over and over. I mean, it happened over time. But then when I become the wife, that's just it.
Right.
I've arrived. It is, it's going to be on, and it wasn't.
Mm,
So then you start say, okay, that no big deal. I mean, this is nothing that we can't handle.
yeah.
But then you have the same argument over and over again, but it's not maybe once a year, maybe once every couple years, a little thing here, a little thing here, we get over it, we move on, we're happy. It was it was that type of thing. So I would say that it was
Mm.
a combination of some of the stuff that I knew beforehand and some of the stuff that was revealed even more afterwards.
So you're
Wow.
saying it didn't start after, right after you got married. You started seeing stuff before marriage, but you just assumed this is probably going to change as our status changes.
Right.
And with each level that you leveled up,
Mm-hmm.
it did not change.
Right. And it wasn't like obvious red flags, but it was like that,
Just a little something that bothers you a
Little
little bit.
something.
just something like,
Yeah.
okay, you were raised differently. Maybe you're coming in a different way, or maybe you can see it from his point of view.
Mm,
So you start to question your own mind and say, maybe that's not a real red flag. Maybe that's
okay.
kind of pink.
So do you so do you kind of make excuses for him? Do you feel people do that? Like did you find yourself making excuses for him so that you could just go ahead and go to that next stage?
Yes and no. I think, well, because we've known each other for all of our lives. So a
Oh.
lot of it is I knew him, I knew his family. We kind of didn't talk or lost contact, but our parents kept in contact.
Mm,
So you'll hear different stuff about his life, and he probably hears stuff about mine, and you're like, oh, okay, and blah, blah, blah. And then when we came together, our relationship just kind of went with it. We dated for 3 years, but it went kind of fast because we knew each other, quote
right.
unquote.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was making excuses. I think I was questioning, like, okay, am I being too much? I think I was questioning myself, not necessarily him. Is that something to really be concerned about? And
Mm,
I would ask people that I would trust, like, okay, this is the situation. There's something I need to be concerned about. And they're like, no. So these are the people that I trusted. So then I said, okay, maybe it's just me.
So, when we think about being in the church, right? You
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the church. I've known you since we were
Ever.
little
Our
toddlers.
parents know each other.
Exactly.
Right.
And, growing up in the church, you find that the only reason why people think, okay, there was divorce there is because there was infidelity.
That's
That's
automatically what we think.
automatically. So, I mean, I hope you're okay with me asking that. Was that there? And do you feel like, well, do you agree with me on that? Even if there was, I don't know. I'm going to let you answer that. But I think sometimes it helps us to feel comfortable with it because we're so
Right.
uncomfortable with it.
So I think the stereotype is that there had to be something like that to happen.
Right.
But in my situation, no. It
Mm,
was, we had two different definitions, ideas of what marriage is. And
Wow.
wow.
the thing that we did not do very well is we didn't discuss what our expectations were. So
Ah,
we just
so
kind of
important.
assume we know each other, our families know each other,
This just gonna
we've
work.
dated. Yeah, we
Yeah.
dated for 3
Yeah.
years,
Mm-hmm.
and we never had that conversation of what do you mean by what is your role as being a husband? What is your role as being a wife? This is what I expect from my husband. This is what I expect from we never had that conversation.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
Man.
That didn't come up.
So no, it's not that. It's that I'm flashing now to all of the premarital counseling stuff that we do. And I'm thinking, because we talk about this all the time, we were just in a session this past Sunday, and April said maybe 4 times in a row, back to back, something about the importance of expectations and why if you don't
have to say them out loud.
If you don't
Yeah.
if you don't articulate them, it's not really fair because you
Right.
didn't say it, and now you're
Right.
beefing with somebody because you're upset because they didn't do what you wanted, but they don't even know that that's what it is and all. So that's like a
Yep.
recurring theme that we find in our premarital counseling. And maybe, I don't know if we're saying it enough. I don't know.
No, we need to keep saying it because she's
based on what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like a big deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, how did you? Okay, so how did you get to the point where you were like, okay, I can't take this anymore?
Or how did it happen? Take us through the actual.
Okay, before we ask that question, because a good question came from Keisha, and I actually was going to ask that, Keisha. She wants to know, what were some specific red flags? Can you kind of name some of those red flags? Because a lot of people can get confused about that, and I think I agree with you, Keisha, on that.
Okay, so some of the red flags for me, our family structure was different. Meaning, I know that's kind of broad too, Keisha, sorry. I come from a very large family, both sides, and
You
we're
actually
very
had
tight.
had a family member make a comment a second ago. Hey,
Oh,
cuz, now if you ain't nobody.
Told me nothing.
So I come from a very large family, very close family. But in my opinion, we have boundaries.
Okay.
So his family, once again, very large family, very close family. And sometimes, in my opinion and how I was raised, the lines were blurred. And there were traditions now, mind you, I come from a very traditional, like we Thanksgiving is here,
Right.
Christmas
Right.
is here, that type.
Yeah.
But some of the traditions I could not wrap my brain around. And it was little stuff like I'm gonna sleep in on the weekend. That's just me. But I'm not gonna go to a 8:00 Sunday morning breakfast. I'm just
Right.
just bring me a plate,
Right.
But I think the expectation was to be there.
Wow.
The expectation, I have all respect for my parents, and if something goes down, I'm there, whatever. But I think they have a boundary that they are not going to cross the line.
Yes.
They're not going to ask me for something without expecting me to go to my spouse and say, is it okay?
Right. Because the two of y'all together now, and it's not you and at home anymore and stuff like that. Right.
Whereas decisions were made and I didn't know about it.
Wow.
I get it.
So it was that type of like
and we're not even saying that one is right and one is wrong, but they're very different, and it sounds like they're incompatible. One way of thinking about it, another way of thinking about it, do not go together. And you didn't know that going in, or you saw red flags about that, but didn't realize at the time it was red.
So I'm just gonna say, this really just shows, and we tell people all the time, you have to look at the whole package.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's important.
It's the person and it's their family. It's their background. It's their upbringing, how they see things in life. Their my brain is foggy, so give me the word.
Your morals.
Yes.
I don't know.
All of that stuff. That's so important. But I want to ask you, how long were you married?
Well, I was thinking about this. Technically, 10 years.
Okay.
We separated at 8. We were separated for 2 years until the divorce was final. Yeah.
So when you separated, were you like, that's it, I'm done? Or were you like, I'm hoping that we can work this out? You knew that
once I would say this, that we had the biggest argument, and after all the screaming and yelling, upstairs, downstairs, I was physically exhausted. I said enough. We don't do this. This is not how we were raised. And I can't, it was done. Now, I will say, I come from a family that my parents have been married for 52 years, I think this December.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So the idea of getting a divorce was just like,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Right.
So I would have stayed in an unhealthy, unhappy relationship because of that.
Yes.
Wow.
He is the one that said, we can't do this
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And I was, so then it was like, okay, but are we sure we can work this out, blah, blah, blah. And then I got to a point was like, no, you really don't want this either. So
Wow.
then we need to separate.
Well, let's
Yeah.
go down that lane a little bit, Natalie, if you don't mind. Take us through your personal feelings of whatever they are. Was there any guilt? Was there any shame? Was there
Mhm.
what were your feel? You just described your parents as these, 50 plus years, marathon married, and we know your parents very
Yes,
well.
they love
They
each
are
other.
very much in love with each other.
Yes.
I mean, they love each other. Like the thing is, they like each other too. Like when you see
Right.
them together, they're having fun together and stuff.
Right.
It's funny, man, because I've actually seen both of your. I probably shouldn't say this. I've seen both of your parents upset before, and the other one was the only person who could make them not upset anymore. It was like
Oh,
once they
that's so
walked.
cute.
Seriously,
They're so cute. They're so
it was like once they caught eyes, whatever the thing was they were upset about went away, and I was like, that's the kind of effect they have on each other. So you're coming from that
grown
perspective,
Up, you've seen that your whole life.
right? So
Seen
what? So
that
the
and
moment,
grandparents.
And
Right.
grandparents. Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, really?
so the moment the moment this conversation begins, and you guys start talking about the possibility of divorce,
Mhm.
what's happening to you on the inside? This is what I think people are probably going to connect with most,
Right.
because I think that's the thing we deal with a lot is
So we
the
do.
feelings
So
that go
go
along
ahead
with
and
it.
share if you have not. Go ahead and share right now
Yes.
so that people can come on into this conversation because I think it's
Exactly.
going to be very helpful. So go ahead, Natalie.
So I think for me, it was all of it. It was shame. It was
Mm.
like disbelief. It was relief a little bit.
Okay.
But it was mainly like, dog, you can't even last 10 years. It's like you have great examples. There is no such thing as I did not have great examples. And I still couldn't pull it off. So I felt like it was something that I could have done. But at the end of it, I realized I don't want to be in an unhealthy relationship. And I was willing to sacrifice that for the look of
Wow.
being married.
Wow.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
man.
She got
I
cut
lost
off.
her. My goodness.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
I don't either. We're still live, but she got cut off earlier today too.
I'm over here in Natalie's box.
When she comes back on, we'll bring her back in.
Yeah.
While she's gone, okay, there she is right there. She's coming right back.
You got to pop her back in these boxes.
I
though,
know.
think.
I'm gonna pop her back in right now. Boom.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening.
I'm not sure what happened, Natalie. We
I don't
stayed live,
either.
so I'm assuming it's your internet or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Your stuff
And I
was
got
trying-
everything, I don't know.
Anyway, so
So,
what were you saying? Keep going.
So
See, that shows that
basically,
this is good stuff.
Oh,
when,
yeah.
When stuff start cutting off,
Exactly.
you're
Right,
saying some
right.
good stuff. So
so I think it was all of it. It was like the church. As you know, I have been. I'm doing a whole lot in the church. So the
Right.
Yeah.
look of it. I had 400 plus people at my wedding at my home church. Like seriously, and now you gonna get divorced. So it
Right.
was like a lot of that pressure that I was feeling. But when I sat with it and came to terms that it was going to end, I think I was more relieved. And if I had to look back, when he was gone for work, I was happier. And when he came back, it was like, okay, now I have to adjust my life to somebody else. So I think, but you did it. That's just what you did,
Right. Right.
So I think it was all of it. It was shame. It was guilt. It was relief. It was trying to save face, trying to look the part. You married with this ring on your finger, but you wasn't happy.
So I want to use a different word real quick before April asks. You said to yourself, I couldn't even last 10 years. Did you feel like you had failed in some way?
Oh, definitely.
And what does the feeling of failure?
How did that affect you?
Yeah, that's
in
what I
your
wanna
everyday
know.
life, like going to work.
I want to know, did it spill into other things?
Right.
Did you
Oh,
feel less
yeah.
confident in other stuff too?
Because, okay, so I'm going through a divorce. as a licensed therapist
Right.
who does therapy with clients
Right.
who
Yeah.
are couples.
Right.
So I can remember a couple in my session having a discussion, and I blinked out and went to my own issue
What?
Wow.
and was
Wow.
and I mean they was just talking or whatever, and I
Right.
snapped out of it because something that was said triggered me into my own mess.
Wow.
And so I came back, and I hope I'm sorry, couple. I hope you didn't realize. But so it does. And as a relational therapist, relationships spill over. If you're not happy at home, then you're not happy at work
Right.
either.
Right.
Even though work is going well, you're
Right.
still thinking about what's going on at home.
Right.
If something at work is not going well, then your household cannot be happy either,
Yes.
because you're thinking about work. So all
Exactly.
relationships go
It
hand
was
in
all
hand.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was difficult. I will say that we tried therapy, and it didn't work. I guess, well, I shouldn't say that. Therapy is not to save marriages, it's to make sure that you are equipped to make a decision about your marriage.
Okay.
Whoa, say that again.
So
Okay. Say
Say
that
that again.
again.
yeah,
Because
so
I think
That's not how
marital
we think.
I think most of us think, let's go get in there and save this thing. But say that again.
marriage counseling, couples counseling is not there to save the relationship. The idea is to give you enough information so that you can make a good decision about your relationship, whether you stay together or not. I've had couples
Wow.
who came in and say, we can't do this, help us to break up so we can
Wow.
work things out, help us to separate things so we can work things out, help my spouse to realize that this relationship is not going to work.
Yeah.
And I want to support him or her because I know that they're not there yet, but I want to support them. That's why I'm coming to couples therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So my question is, once you guys made that decision, how did you, we have a lot of friends that they got divorced, and a lot of them cut us off. They stopped talking to us. We didn't know what was going on. We tried to contact them. You know, they kind of pulled away from everybody. And I understand that. We weren't upset, but we were a little sad, that happened. But I want to know from you, how did you work through that? Because I know like several of our friends just did not, and not that they have to, come and tell us everything that's going on in their lives. We get that. But just to pull away so much where we don't know what's going on. They are ghosts. I mean, I know that had to probably do with what you're talking about, the shame and all that kind of stuff. But how did you handle that? Did you pull away? Did you, a lot of people have divorce parties, were you one of those ones that was like, okay,
No.
What do you think
I
about
get
that?
it. I do get it. And I think if it works for you, then have a divorce party. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, you're just stalled
breaking
a
up.
little
It's good. We can hear you good. Go ahead.
Okay. But for me, I think in that situation, you don't know who you can trust.
Oh wow.
So you don't.
Okay.
So you pull all the way back.
Yes.
Like a lot of stuff my parents didn't know. A lot of the disagreements and marital problems that we were having, my parents didn't know. Some of my friends didn't know. My family didn't know, because you need to clear everybody out so you can figure out where you're going and who you can trust with this information.
Right. Right.
Wow.
So it's not personal. It ain't like
No.
you hating people around you or something like that. You're just not sure who you can trust. You're very keep close to the vest during that time, and you're not necessarily trying to tell everybody what's going on. And some people might not be able to handle having all that information at that time. So that makes sense.
It does. So let's just move to how did you move on? Okay, after you had a partner, you all were doing life together, and I'm sure he had things that he did in the home. How did you manage that, where it was like he's here and now he's not? That's it. Now it's all on you. How did that affect you financially? Just in your everyday, life.
So I will say that the best thing about our relationship is that our finances was on point.
Okay.
With his particular job, he was gone a lot, so he had automated everything. So the bill paying part was not the good. We just came out the check. And we were able to decrease all of our debt except my student loans.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we came to the end, we were financially good. And
Okay.
then because of his job, there are some things that he had to do for me, being his soon-to-be ex-wife. And then I was working. And then when I saw the end coming, I started hoarding money. So I walked away in a better position. I said, either we're going to have a phenomenal vacation, like thebomb.com,
Yeah.
or I'm going to walk away and I'm not going to be that woman who has nothing.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
So, right. And once we had that big argument, once we like yelled, screamed, whatever, we were able to come together and write out a great separation agreement. We went to our attorneys. My attorney was like, okay, you need to get this signed because you ain't going to get none of this in court.
Wow.
This is
Wow.
very generous.
Right.
And I honestly have to say, he is that person. He is that generous. And that was a blessing and a curse. He'll take the shirt off his back. He'll give you the last dime. I'm like, whoa, we got bills over here.
Right.
But no. So he is that person. And once we got over our issues with each other, we came back to our original people and said, look, let's just make this work. And even today, we are still cool. Do we talk every day? No. But if I call him, I text him, he's going to call back or text or whatever. And there's no animosity there.
Yes, that's really good.
Now, there's somebody here, Gerlin Lawson, says, what does move on mean? So I don't know if Gerlin's asking you that, April, because you just asked that question, or if she's asking that to Natalie. I guess, what did you mean when you asked the question, April, when you said move on?
I guess when I said move on, I just mean, I really don't know what I mean by that. I guess just going on with your life with this new reality that is just you now. This
Right.
new reality that I have to be in charge of making sure everything gets done because you do help each other, And in your case, you were saying that you didn't necessarily lose that help all the way. But
Right.
what did move on mean to you, though?
Move on, that I did not want to be stuck in that stereotypical wife divorced, depressed, in the bed, can't get out, with rollers in her hair.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I went to therapy. I had a phenomenal therapist that I said, you know what? I know I'm crazy. Help me get past this craziness because I'm feeling crazy. And I have to show up for my clients too. I have to be there for them. And I can't be bringing my stuff into the clinical setting.
Right.
So I had a great therapist. And I did the work and I tried to find different things. I found my village. And a lot of the times, there were no friends of mine who were going through divorce. So my friends are all either married or never been married. So they couldn't relate.
Wow.
So it was like trying to figure this thing out, okay, the little simple stuff. Like when you go to church and you don't have your ring on and somebody asks you what you're supposed to say. Or what do you say when people find out you divorced? What's your response?
Wow.
So it's like, you can't find that out. You have to so I couldn't go to my parents. They didn't know the answer. They're still married.
Exactly.
So I had to, it was like, okay, well, what works for me?
Yes.
What will make me feel most comfortable? There were weddings that I didn't go through to because at that time it was too raw.
Wow.
And I had to let them know, look, I would love to be there, but it's too fresh for me. And I don't want to ruin your day. So I'm going to bow out. Congratulations. Yeah. You had to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Well, let me reset this real quick just so everybody knows. We are talking to an author tonight who is herself a thriving divorcee. She wrote a book entitled Divorce Looks Good on You, A Girlfriend's Guide to Moving Towards Greatness After Divorce. Her name is Natalie Fuel, and she's been joining us for the last several minutes.
Yes, and I'm going to put the book link into the
chat.
Yes,
this book is actually available to be purchased right now. We're putting that in the chat immediately. It's kind of a long link, so we can't tell you what it is, but it's okay.
But just click on it when you see it.
Just click it when you see it, and you'll have it right there, and you'll be able to get it. So your book title suggests, Natalie, in its title, it suggests something I guess the subtitle is the one,
Mm-hmm.
that contradicts what many of us who have been going to church for years have been taught. And
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
it is possible to have a life that thrives after divorce. So take us a little bit down the message that you share with people. And let me ask you, is this something that you tell to guys and gals? Is it only
Good
to,
question.
can you only share this with women and say, here's what I did, and so this works for you? But is this formula working for the guys too if they've gotten divorced?
Absolutely, because society will tell you that when you get divorced, you are a failure.
Mm,
Um, when
wow.
people hear the minute people hear you're divorced, the first thing they say is, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Wow. Wow.
And so you already have that. So I was looking for a book that empowered me, that helped me get through the dark times. I know you mentioned earlier, is this a death? Yes, it's a death of a
Mm,
relationship, and the difference is that person is still living, and
wow.
you can still run into that person.
Wow.
So, I mean, we can argue which one is worse, but it is a death, and
True.
you do go through the stages of death:
Mm,
um, shame, denial,
yeah.
fear, bargaining. You go through
Right.
all of
All the
that.
stages of grief.
Yes, yes, all of it. And you cycle. You don't go through, you don't graduate from one to the next. You cycle through them.
Wow.
And even now, it's been a little over 4 years, something can trigger. And then I have to say, okay, what is that? Or I'll have a dream about something. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I have to center myself and figure out, okay, what is going on? Why am I dreaming about this? What's happening?
Wow.
So it never necessarily ends, but it does get better.
Mm,
And it's about the attitude that you have, that you're not going to be this failure that everybody wants to label you as.
wow. Wow.
Man,
That is deep.
it is deep.
It really is. And I never would have thought that someone would still have triggers after 4 years,
Right.
because like you said,
Mhm.
we've never experienced it. We don't know. So it's good to know that, so that when we are connecting with someone who has been through that, we can be a little bit more sensitive about their journey through that time.
I want to just put up a comment real quick, Shan. He says, "Does society really tell males that they've failed?" I,
Mm.
th- I think
Wow.
I
Mm.
think I think what he's suggesting is that oftentimes we have a double standard here, which we talk about all the time.
Right.
Yes, we do.
That we
There's always
that
a double
we
standard.
we basically say to the woman that she has failed, but we very rarely treat the man that way. Have you found that to be the case, Natalie? Do you think it's different for men and women who are divorced?
Um, Not the ones that I've worked with. The men that I work with feel like they're failed too.
Okay.
That
Mm.
that they couldn't make it work, or they couldn't
Okay.
figure it out. Yeah.
I think what Shan is saying is really society, what they put on the male. So
Right.
you're sounding
Right.
like you're saying when the man comes to you for therapy, he himself feels like a failure. Is he feeling that way because of whatever he's going through, or is he feeling that way because of what society is doing to him? But what do you think?
I don't know. I think it's both, because look at everything that you fill out that has demographics, and it's going to ask you your
Mm.
marital status, and you
Yes.
like, huh, here we go again. I got to remind myself that I'm
Oh,
divorced.
wow.
And society, it's a building. You're single, and then you're married, and then you're divorced. Like so it's a death. It's a failure type thing. It's a negative connotation around it.
Mm.
Um, but I'm saying it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And your
Right.
next step does not have to be a relationship. That does not
Mm.
have to be your next step to
So
Right.
bring you
Right.
back to where society wants you to be, which is married and
Wow.
happy and whatever.
Wow. And that was
yeah,
going to be one of our questions. Moving to dating again, and are you
are you dating again? Are you
open
planning
to
on it?
marrying again,
Right.
and
How do you feel
are you
about that?
thinking about that at all?
I would say this: it's not on the agenda. um, I am not at any way, shape, or form against marriage. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's something that people, if they want, should experience. I don't think it should be an expectation or a sole goal. And
Yeah.
that's what I've learned. That will I remarry? It's possible. Will I do the 400 Guess no. Negative. But
Couldn't have done that.
right now it's not on my agenda. I'm not dating. I have not dated. I have no desire at this point to date. But if he can weed through all of that and still strike something in me, then I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I'm not pushing anybody away. But my focus is on my private practice and building my career. So
So,
yeah.
so
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to ask you a question about that in a second, but there's a couple of comments I want to put up. One is Gerlin again. You tell yourself that too. You go through the mourning process, but you can feel like the death was your doing or your fault. Did you ever go
Mm.
through that, Natalie, where you're saying,
Yes.
this is because of me, or
Right.
did you kind of just have a clear head that okay, this is what happened. We couldn't make this work because of this, that, and the other. It
Yeah.
wasn't
And, and
necessarily
and
on me.
my question kind of went along with that because it was, were there some things that you wish you had done or
Mhm.
wish you
Yeah.
didn't do?
So I think the things I should have listened to the red flags and
Okay.
saw them for what they are. And even though we might have still got married, if I would have addressed them and we would have talked it out, maybe we could have worked it out. But because
Mm.
I didn't bring it up and I just assumed that it was going to get better, or I brought it up in a way that he didn't wasn't able to receive it or wasn't able to grasp what I was trying to say,
Yeah.
that's what we got to where we are. So I think I would have listened to those red flags and
Yeah.
really didn't dismiss them like I did.
Yeah, so Tony has a good question here. And I actually, it's so funny because I was thinking about that as you were talking about your in-laws and how it was, you know, the way that they did things was so different. How did the divorce change your interaction with the former in-laws and shared friends? Were
Mhm.
they also cool or did they treat you differently? Did your circle have to change completely? That's an excellent question.
It is.
It is, and I write about that in my book. No, I do not have. I have contact with two members of his entire huge family.
Mhm.
Wow.
That was very supportive during the separation, after the divorce, years after the divorce.
Mm,
Um, Told me, you will still always be my niece. You will always be my
Oh,
cousin. I don't
that's
wow.
beautiful.
care.
Wow.
So I would say, but those were the only two.
Mhm.
Now, are they mean or hateful? No. If we
Mm-hmm.
see each other, it's cool.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
are they reaching out? No.
Right.
Wow.
Seeing how I was doing, how we handled, no, none of that. Even friends, we don't have any friends that we came into the marriage mutually, and no, those we have separate everything.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow. Wow.
it did change a lot, and there was so being in a city where I didn't have my family and it was only his family, it was good that I had my sorority sisters, I had
Mm,
my colleagues, and I was what, an hour 15 minutes away from home.
wow.
um,
Yeah.
but if I was in a whole nother state, if I only had his friends, his family, nothing of my own, it would have been difficult.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question. Did your divorce have a spiritual impact on you? If so, how?
You prayed more.
You was on your knees, girl.
Oh, wow.
Oh my, like, Lord, why? And
Yes.
help me to get past this. And
Mm.
why am I still dreaming about this? And
Mhm.
why is this
Wow.
bothering me? And why am I being triggered like this? And how am I
Mm,
gonna handle this situation? It was all of that. So yeah.
wow. Wow. Did you
Wow.
ever feel like uh did you feel like your relationship with God changed? Like, you know, I guess would be positively because of this with what you're saying, you prayed more. But how did you feel about your relationship with God? Did it get better? Do you feel like it was more like, okay, Lord, you're not answering me? I you know?
I think you go through all of that, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, and then you have the church on top of it saying, or the teaching is, you can't remarry
Right.
unless there's some infidel. So you're like, well, dog, I'm really doomed. But
Oh
Mhm.
man. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I now have a different interpretation of that. But
Mhm.
Yes.
it's like you're questioning everything, and you're easily reminded of the
Mm,
situation.
yeah.
You know, relationships on TV. You see it, and you see it in church, and you see it at work, and you see of the things that you don't want to see the most when you
Yeah,
don't want to see it,
of course. Of
and
course.
having to deal with the grief of my family that the relationship ended too, because they were grieving too.
Wow.
So, and now adjusting to him still having a great relationship with my parents, like coming to visit. Like,
Really?
where we do that at?
Oh my goodness, man.
wow.
So it's like, okay, and they don't know, like, we don't know what to do.
Right.
So I had to say, look, I respect that you have a relationship with him. I am never going to ask you not to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
All I need to know is just let me know if he's at the house, or just let me know.
Right. So that comes to another question.
Give me some heads
Yeah.
up.
But how do you feel when you
Yeah.
see him? Like, what goes on in your body? I feel like your body would feel something. You know, like, what happens when you come face to face?
So I would say we saw each other 21 and 20 year.
Oh yeah, it's
just
all merged.
merged.
It's all the same year.
I
Right,
believe,
it's all the
right.
same.
We saw each other at an event for his family that I attended, a funeral. And I have to say, I think that was the first time I saw him in probably a couple of years. And I have to say that it was nothing.
Okay.
It was, we embraced. I met his new girlfriend. It was cool. It was like, we went backwards to the people who knew each other since birth, is what our parents say, and were friends. We went back there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
That's actually a blessing.
It is, because I always wonder when you see that, your ex again, things may come up, you get upset, or, I don't know, especially when they've moved on with relationship wise, so it is good to hear that you're able to go back to your previous relationship, which was just really good friends.
Right. And I have to say that is because of the work that I did. That is because of the therapy that I went through. That is because I resolved how I brought into the chaos of the relationship. I take ownership of my chaos that I brought into it.
Yes.
I take ownership of when I know I checked out and was dismissive in the relationship. I take ownership in how I probably was not the best wife in these situations. I had to own my own stuff, work out through that. And so I don't have any animosity towards him at all.
So in order to get to that point, I'm sorry, it's just crazy, because I feel like people don't realize that they need that. They need that whole process in order to get to where you are now, because I don't think a lot of people are able to just see their ex and be happy about that.
Right.
So
that your process, what you're saying that you need to go through, I think that's very good to share with those out here.
Okay,
with our chimes.
So here's what I was gonna ask, and then Natalie, I want you to tell us about your program. This is what I want to know.
Okay.
You just said, and I sort of teased this earlier. You said that you are thriving. You're not just alive. You're living. You know what I'm saying? You have been through a divorce. You have come through on the other side, and you feel good about where you are in your life. And you mentioned you are not well, you didn't say that. You didn't say you weren't currently in a relationship.
She did.
I'm not.
Okay, all right.
She
So you're
did
not,
say that.
you're
She
not
basically
currently in
said
a relationship. So here's the thing. Here's the thing I need you to help me with, and I think you need to help our audience with. Even if we don't admit this out loud, I think there's an automatic assumption that we are happier if we're in a relationship. And that if we're going to thrive again after being divorced, it's got to be because I'm in a relationship again.
Wow.
But clearly that's not where you're at. And so what are the keys? What are some of the keys that you want to share with people? You just shared one of them, I think, which is therapy and getting to the point where you can own your own stuff.
Yes.
What are some of the things that people need to do to be able to thrive after divorce, even if it doesn't mean trying to get remarried again?
Right. So I would say learn how to be by yourself and be happy with it.
Wow.
That is okay. Go to the movies by yourself. That's the most liberating thing ever.
Wow.
Go to dinner do stuff with yourself, because if you're not happy with yourself, you will never be happy in a relationship. You
Oh
bring
my
you into the
goodness.
relationship.
Wow.
So in order for the two of you to be happy, you have to start out being happy. Your spouse, your partner does not make you happy. You have to be happy before you get into this relationship. You have to, they are attracted to you, your individual self, not you in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I would say that your work is love who you are and be able to be by yourself. You don't have to be hanging out with friends or doing something. You can really have fun by yourself. During this pandemic, I was really having fun by myself. I go visit. I call my parents the geriatrics. People know them, but like they're not geriatrics. But I do my wellness checks on
Yeah.
them.
Right.
Yes.
But it was good to be alone in your own thoughts, doing your own routine, doing your own thing. So I think because I'm in the stage of relationship is not on my agenda, I think I'm more ready to be in a relationship now than I was when I started dating my ex.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I like what Primo says here. Yes, I am liking your comment, Primo. Learn how to be happy by yourself. He's quoting you. Great advice at any stage of life or relationship. And I agree with
Right.
that. Like,
Yeah.
I agree that any stage of life, you need to learn how to be happy by yourself.
I agree.
That's very important.
That is
Andrew said,
important.
you are enough.
Yeah.
I want you to take us now, if you don't mind, and tell us about this program that you have. I'm actually going to put it up on the screen, and you can describe it to us. The program is when the potential never happens. And I like
I love
your
Yes.
subtitles are
Your
so good.
subtitles so
Stop
good.
dating the same guy with a different name.
That is so good.
Explain this to us, please, Natalie.
Yes.
So I'm so excited because this is what I wish I had when I was in the dating phase and probably while I was coming out of a marriage. You have to look at you date. Sometimes we date the potential, and the potential can really mean it can happen or it cannot happen. You don't really know.
Right.
And I say date the possibility because the possibility, you can at least see some evidence in the possibility. You see something, but the potential is either or. We don't really know yet. It hasn't happened yet. And then the stop dating the same guy with a different name. You tend to date different patterns. And why are you attracting the same pattern and wondering why these relationships are not working? So this group is for. You mentioned before, is this book for men and women? Yes, the book is for men and women, and I did write it from a woman's perspective clearly. But this group is for women
Okay.
who want to break. Yeah, the group is for women who want to break the negative patterns of relationships.
Wow.
So we're going to break down why you keep dating the same type of guy and what are you really looking for and why are you not going after that. And so it's going to be some self-evaluation, and it's going to be some tearing down some walls and some ideas that you may have that are not realistic. And we're going to get to the core. So once you finish this program, you have a better understanding of if you're ready to get into a relationship, what type of relationship you want to be in, who are you looking for, and you won't have to go through the riffraff before you get to the right one.
Wow, this is so good. So will they go to fuelcounseling.com?
So I just realized they would need to go to fuelcounseling@gmail.com. It's not on my website yet because what I want this group to be very intimate. So I'm only going to select 10 people.
Okay.
So go to fuelcounseling@gmail.com and tell me why you want to be a part of this group. And mind you, this is not the only time, but I want this group to be so intimate that we're learning from each other, and that and people feel safe when it's that smaller type group.
April just put that in the chat for you guys if you want it. Fuelcounseling@gmail.com.
That is just
if you're interested.
great.
That group
That's such
is
a great
just for
program.
women though. If
Right.
you're a woman who wants to wonder why I keep dating the same guy and
With a
try to
different
get
name.
that
Wow, I love that.
that patterns that you said try to avoid the riffraff. Is that what you call them?
Yeah. Just and it's more so the riffraff that we are ignoring the red flags.
Right.
We're not being honest with ourselves.
Right.
We don't even know our own expectations and standards and boundaries.
Wow.
So how can we get into a relationship and then be mad at him for not
Right.
doing the right thing?
Right.
Oh my goodness. All of that, what you just said was just, that was a lot of good stuff. And that little bit
That
was
little
so
nugget.
good and so true. And I'm so glad. I'm so proud of you. I sound like
We're
a grandma.
very proud of
Thank
you.
So proud
you.
of you.
Thank you for what you're doing, Natalie.
But it's just such good stuff. And I think that these are things that especially in our Black community that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And thank you for
yeah.
sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable tonight and willing to
Yes, and
share.
transparent.
The transparency was excellent.
Yes.
And I think that people in our audience who are watching live and who will watch the replay are going to be blessed. They're going to be encouraged that they are not a failure,
Right.
that they
Right,
can
right.
throrive, even if it
Yes.
means not getting remarried or being in a
Right,
relationship right
right.
now.
Right,
They can thrive
right.
by themselves and God.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
Yep. You are a whole person by
Correct.
yourself.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Natalie.
We love you.
Yes.
And
Thank
we
you.
are
Love you
praying
too.
for
Thank you.
And we know
Thank
that the
you.
Lord has a lot of big plans for you.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
see
you
you
for this
again on here. This ain't your
opportunity.
last time on the
No,
show.
it's not
Hopefully,
your last
hopefully you'll be
time.
willing to come back.
I am willing to come back. I am.
All
All right,
right.
Natalie.
Thanks so much.
See you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really good.
Like for real, for real.
Yes. I mean, she said some wise nuggets
A
all
bunch
in
of
there.
quotables in there.
Yes.
And of course, we're going to put this up, but it doesn't actually mean that you have to vote for us or anything like that. It's just
Actually,
the way we end
it
the show.
means you have to say Team April because I grew up.
'Cause you're sick?
I grew up with Natalie.
Because you're sick tonight?
No,
That
if
why?
you are Team Natalie, then you're Team April because we family. So
Says
you
automatic.
didn't meet her till later. So
I was her pastor, though.
yeah,
So that should be Team John.
But her father and my dad grew up together.
Her father was my head elder. So I'm just saying. So
y'all go ahead and
it
just
should be Team John.
No, it should be Team April because
Neither one of us did anything. All we did was ask
I
questions
like
tonight.
what Madeline.
It needs to be Team
family.
Natalie.
So
That's the
Team
team.
Natalie.
You know what I'm
Thank you, Elaine. Elaine, Team April. I love my sister right there.
Hey,
Okay,
Andrew
my
said-
other sister, my
And
real
says
sister
Team
Kim.
John because he needs at least one vote.
Oh my God! Look at Primo to my broken record alert. Team John.
That's right.
Who has the better claim to Natalie? I do.
April does. There's no question.
Exactly. Stop trying to be acting like.
It's true.
So
I mean,
Tony,
I'm trying to
Team
do.
April.
I'm trying to do a little something to find a way, but you guys, she's right.
Listen,
April's got a
did
much
we?
better plan.
Again, I'm not feeling great.
We didn't, but I'm not worried about it.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
I just want to say that this was good. I hope that a lot of people learned something and is able to take from this, because I think it's really important. A lot of people deal with this by themselves,
Right. Yes.
So
That's
so
what I think is happening
yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping also that happens, by the way, Gerlin said Team Natalie. And I agree.
Good.
That's
That
what we
means
should have
Team
been
April.
saying.
If you say Team Natalie, it's Team April. So But what I will say before you say that,
Yes.
if you enjoyed this, if this was beneficial, you learned something, go ahead and give a heart so that we can see those hearts go up.
Exactly.
To show that people were really moved by the words that Natalie shared with us.
And you still have time to share this. If you share it, they can watch the replay
That's
later
true.
on. But the point is, somebody needs to be liberated and somebody
Yeah,
needs to be set
yeah.
free. Somebody needs to have that life where they can thrive after divorce because it's possible. You are not a failure just because your marriage ended.
Right.
And that's what I take away from this. And this helped me because I really feel like when you're in a relationship, sort of, what do you call this? We're in the business of relationship. I think it's more than just helping people to stay married. It's also helping those who were not able to stay married.
Right.
How do they feel like whole
Yes,
people
yes,
after
yes.
that? And I think the way that we treat them has a lot to do with it.
It does.
And so
It
I think
does.
we can do something about that. So anyway, so thanks again, Natalie, and thanks again, Chimes, for this. By the way, we do want to tell you that we have moved our podcast to Mondays.
Yes, it's Mondays now.
So we need to tell you
Tell-
this, just
tell
so
them
you
what's
know.
going on. Tell them
Basically,
what's
what's
going on.
happening is, I'm gonna turn the music off just so you can really hear what's going on. What's going
You
on
want no
is,
music in the background?
I mean, you can put whatever you want on this right here.
Right there. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so no, do this one. So,
Okay.
April and I are on the radio every week now here in DC. You guys know we're with the Lance J Radio Network, a guy named James Lewis. and he's got a show that's on every night at 7 o'clock on WOL in DC. It is Urban One Radio, and he plays our show as part of his show, like a show within a show, on Wednesdays. And so we're recording now for his show on Mondays, really Sundays. So we decided instead of duplicating work, we'll just use a segment from our actual podcast. And so now we post our podcast on Monday. Since we're recording them on Sunday nights anyway,
and it's going to be a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but it's fun and a little bit more entertaining.
It's the same John and April. It's just, you know, with 200,000 listeners here in the Washington, D.C., the D.C. Maryland area. You know what I'm saying?
So we hope that will, you know, continue to grow. It's fun. We really love it.
We do. So come check us out.
So thank you guys so much for your support. What's Primo
said
talking
April
about?
needs students playing. You can't just.
Exactly.
I said let's turn the music off. She said no, we ain't doing that.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
Big things popping.
Yeah, the Lord's doing some stuff. We're trying to really grow. And
because these are messages that we need to get out to everyone. You know, I think that so many people out there have no idea about things like within relationships. Like they really are clueless. I mean, they don't have the resources. And one time we did a marriage weekend, and we were at a hotel, and the girl at the front desk was like, you know, why are y'all here? What are y'all doing? You guys look so nice. What are you so dressed up for? And I was like, oh, we're doing a marriage retreat. And she said, what?
They do that?
She was like, what is that? And I told her what it was. She was like, that is a thing? She had no idea. And I was like, oh my goodness. You know, I think we're spoiled.
Right.
You know, so
Andrew wants to know what station that is. It is 95.9 FM. WOL.
And I think it's changing from 7
to 11, but not quite yet.
But not yet. Okay. So it's 7 p.m. now.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna see y'all. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. We'll be right here. We got some more guests next week. I probably shouldn't say who they are just in case something happens. But we got some guests for next week.
Yeah, don't do that, baby. You know, stuff be happening now.
Yeah, man. So we'll see y'all here, right? Right? Okay.
Peloton girl. Thank
Way
you.
to blow up, J&A.
Thanks, guys. We love y'all.
Okay, y'all. See y'all next week. I don't have the blank screen thing, babe, so I'm just have to use this.
When are we doing a single retreat? We're going to talk about that. We've been talking about that.
We have been.
So
You're
it's
right.
coming.
You're right. All that stuff is coming. All right, y'all.
All right, guys.
Next week. Bye.
Bye.